When the markets go up, our portfolio will also rise. However, when it declines and then recovers, the same portfolio may not perform as expected. So this raises a very important question. Which shares should be adjusted? What is the right decision? Should the portfolio remain unchanged? If there's new money, where should it be invested? Are mutual funds a better option than individual stocks? Should derivatives like F&O be included? These are some common concerns in any market environment. There may be several such doubts, questions, or opinions in your head. Just reach out to us on Ask Me Anything, and you can ask us anything and we will help you. Reach out to us today.
Welcome to this episode of Talking Straight with Mr. Shyam Sekhar, and we are going to be continuing our conversation and speak to him and understand about what an investor should be doing today in order to maximize and achieve his goals. So now I think one message is clear, that some kind of participation is required in today's context. So I think a very common debate that always happens is, now should a person do lump sum investing or a monthly systematic investment plan? How can someone tune themselves to doing both? Obviously the sweet spot is to do both on a regular basis, but some people's cash flows might allow that and might not allow that. So what kind of an approach can a person take so that they can kind of get the best of both worlds?
I think systematic investing is mainly relevant because when you are not sure, staggered investing is a good way to protect your decisions, because as I said, let's say you're having this kind of a salsa formation. If you invest every month, you invest all the way down and on the bottom and then on the way up. So systematic investing will help you do that. And from here, the markets may not fall sharper than a salsa formation.
Right.
It's already fallen at the headline index level. So when you're investing in large companies, I think an SIP will work extremely well. Suppose you go down one notch and say, I want to invest in mid-cap companies. I would not do an SIP in mid-cap. I would rather wait and do a lump sum. But if I still have money to be invested for later investment into mid-cap, I will purpose that investment in an SIP into a liquid or an arbitrage or a debt fund, from where I would switch it whenever I want into mid-cap. So the money will be kept in a state of readiness, and from there I would go to a mid-cap fund. In small caps, again, I am of the view that lump sum investing is a better way of investing than SIP at this point in time. I would probably think of an SIP when I find the valuations have come to a zone where I am extremely comfortable. So that's still some distance away. So whenever the valuation comes to that zone, I will kickstart an SIP in small cap. So it depends upon where you want to invest.
Okay.
Some parts great for SIP, some parts great for lump sum. But if you don't feel like doing lump sum now, in let's say a mid cap or a small cap, you still SIP into some other asset class like debt and collect that money. So that whenever this opportunity comes, you move it here. You need to be preparing to invest in small and mid cap for a long period of time and investing in a short burst of time. So to do a lump sum, you still need an SIP. Right? And suppose you have an SIP and you want to invest in large cap itself, but you don't want to do it in, you don't want to do it in a way which creates a timing risk. You can also keep that money in a liquid fund or a lump sum and then decide when to start STP or something like that. So these options are all open. You can do any of these, but personally I would just do an SIP in a large cap, and if I have lump sums also, I will add lump sums to large cap and then do some part of the lump sum as a STP, and I will collect money in other asset class to be invested in mid and small. This is how I would look at SIP and lump sum. It's a great year to do lump sum investing because there are specific parts which are undervalued. It will probably be a great year to do SIP also, provided you are SIPing in the right place. If you are SIPing in small and mid, it may not be a great year. But if you are still in large cap doing SIP, I think you should be fine. So you should have a clear idea of where you are investing, and you should invest in the right place if you are doing an SIP. And if you are doing a lump sum, you must invest it when the valuations are in your favor. These are the two principles that you must always adhere to in a market like this.
Okay. So I think lastly what we want to talk about today is also in terms of mapping your assets to goals, setting yourself up for aspirations and probably even bigger aspirations than just your basic needs that a person might have. A lot of people today talk about creating $1 million corpus. So how can you set yourself up for bigger aspirations? How can you utilize a market like today that we have right in front of us to be able to fast track that and achieve that, or probably even exceed the goals that you set for yourself?
See, I think this $1 million corpus is a great focal point. It helps a lot of people to think big. And it helps a lot of people to think beyond what they think is achievable. Because many people think 3-4 crores is enough. I can be comfortable. I can get my kids married. I can retire. I can travel the world. So they think that that kind of money is enough. But when they grow older, they probably think that, oh no, it's not enough. I should have been more ambitious. So it's better people are ambitious when they are creating wealth itself, and not become ambitious after they become older. That is something very, very important. So having a goal like this makes them more ambitious, make them a little more aggressive. Let's say somebody who's in his 30s has $1 million goal. I think he can achieve it in 15-20 years, right? So by the time he's 50, he's got $1 million and he's got another 10 years work. You know what? He'll probably end up with 4 million when he's 60, right? Whereas at 30, he would not have thought of reaching 4 million. And between 30 and 50, suppose he reaches 1 million faster than what he originally anticipates through his own investment behavior, positive interventions, actions, affirmative investing, contrarian investing when the markets are not in favor. All these things will take him to 1 million faster. Then instead of 4 million at 60, he can probably even do better. We don't know. If you're doing your things faster and you save 3-4 years on the road to 1 million,
right?
I think potentially you can have one more double.
Correct.
Within 3 and 5 years. So I think that investors must think like that. Not think in terms of just how much do I need. I think this how much do I need is too basic to our society's current aspirations. Yeah, if you have somebody who's much older, he can say, how much do I need? How much can I create is a very different question. And I think that's the question which I think is relevant to our society, to our aspiring middle class's future. Because when you start thinking of how much can I create, you go on to thinking of how do I do this? And then you actually do better because you have a problem statement for which you have set a goal, and then you start thinking of how to fulfill that goal. So it's a different thought process. I don't think people should think of just how much do I need. When you go to $1 million, goals, you're going beyond how much do I need.
Correct.
You're going beyond what you need, and you're going into the direction of how much can I create. And I think that that's a very, very important crossover in every investor's wealth creation journey.
Correct. So tying this back to markets today, so finding the right investor who has this kind of an aspiration and who's mentally prepared is one thing. I think second is like how should they utilize the market opportunity today and push themselves to be able to participate, so that, like you said, the timelines can be a lot more sooner than what they actually set out to do. So what should they do in terms of participating in the next 18 months?
One is see how you can grow your income. That is how you manage your career. And suppose you're managing career in an exemplary way, which a lot of people are doing today. They have optionalities like employee stock options.
Right.
They work in one company, get the ESOPs, and then they move to another company, which is even better. And they're not bound by any rules to sell these original ESOPs. They can sell whenever they want. And it's like a currency in their hands. I think when they have this kind of a sweet spot, they must think well beyond what they are usually conditioned to. Mindset has to change. Then the speed at which they can invest has to be calibrated, and the sums they are going to invest in each asset class, in each tranche, all this has to change. Suppose somebody is doing a SIP of let's say ₹1,00,000, right? And now he's got some ESOPs for a few crores. He should not invest that money also into Indian equities at the rate of 1 lakh a month. So people are just sticking to that old pattern. You need to break free and you need to know what is your reality, and then you have to adapt your speed of investing to your current size and scale. A lot of investors also make this mistake. So when you adapt and calibrate your pace of investing, your deployment pattern changes. Your saving pattern improves. So the rate at which you're building your corpus increases. And when you do that and you're right in your decisions, the rate at which you're compounding also increases.
Correct.
So you reach a much higher milestone or a much bigger corpus than you would otherwise think you can. So your potential migrates to a different trajectory. And I think this is where I think a lot of people have to think harder. I think people aren't thinking harder. They're still in that how much do I need mindset. Or actually they know they have more than they need, so they become indifferent.
Correct.
Okay, this second thing is even worse. Think about it. There are so many people who don't have the kind of income and assets at a very young age, which many of these highly accomplished people have. But the others are ambitious, but they have no way of translating ambition. Whereas you have a job, you are able to move to a bigger job, and from your previous employment, you have a nest egg which can be made more powerful to create a much bigger financial outcome for yourself. So you need to use this. You need to really use this. It's too good an opportunity to miss.
Right. I think that brings us to the end of the discussion. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
I think we have a lot of takeaways and things that we can reflect and work on in this market.
Thank you so much.
I think we've had a very insightful conversation today and we have a lot of takeaways. But I think the message is very simple. The first thing is to ensure that you participate in this market and stay disciplined to be able to get the maximum benefits out of what is in front of us. Thank you for watching.